Hey guys, welcome to a very windy Italy, and I'm here with this, the brand new Lamborghini Urus. And if you are familiar with the Urus, you know that this is Lamborghini's most popular vehicle because it's a crossover or SUV. And what makes it so popular is, well, that it's not a crazy supercar. And while this Urus may look like the previous one, underneath, it's all new. Styling is also relatively new. So what we have here are kind of more angular, more squinty headlights. You, of course, have the traditional Lamborghini grille, which is very aggressive and very sporty. But really the big news is what's under the hood. So in this review from Italy, we're going to do a whole bunch of things, including take it on the track and take it off-road. But let's start with the car and let me show you kind of what's new about it. So first, let's go to the back here. What really makes it unique is, first of all, this, but come on with me. Also, come on, also this. So if you haven't guessed by now, it's a plug-in hybrid, which means that it's a lot more modern, fuel efficient. Let's keep going. I'll show you what's under the hood. This being a Lamborghini, of course, you couldn't have one without a massive 4-liter V8. So what we're looking at is a plug-in hybrid that produces, get this, in total 789 horsepower. So here you have a very powerful turbocharged V8 that's paired to an electric motor that's sandwiched in between the 8-speed automatic transmission with a battery of about 25.9 to be exact kilowatt hours. So Lamborghini has not yet finished doing the proving as to how far to go on all battery, but figure on the American cycle between 20 and 30 miles of all electric range. But here's the crazy thing. Lamborghini says that most of their owners will never plug this car in because it has so many drive modes, one of them being the ability to actually have this big old V8 charge the battery. Now, if you're wondering about performance, it's just over 300 kilometers an hour, 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds. And let's go around the back again. What's unique, of course, is that it's no longer just the Urus, it's the Urus SE. And of course, back here, they've done something unique too. They've added this kind of hexagonal Lamborghini badge. They moved the license plate down lower. They've given it a kind of a pointy beak. And Lamborghini designers say that's all to make the car a little bit wider in the back, giving it a bigger stance. Of course, you still have your quad tailpipes, which sound phenomenal. But if you want a Lamborghini that's going to haul you and your family, this is the one to do it. You have quite a bit of room here. This is, after all, the utilitarian Lamborghini. So you could put your luggage or your gear or even your dog back here, and I think they'd be very happy. Now, let's see how I fit in the second row. Why don't you go around? So, of course, Lamborghini has been known for building supercars, specifically V12 powered supercars. And when the Urus came along, it immediately, like the Porsche Cayenne, that it's, you know, a brother or sister to, it immediately became the best-selling car in Lamborghini's 3-car lineup currently. And that's because, you know, you can put 4 people in here, 5 in a pinch. And as you know, I'm 6'2", and I still have sufficient headroom even with this big, giant sunroof. I still have sufficient legroom even with the seat all the way back. And if you got the kiddos back here, you've got your climate control, you've got 2 USB-C ports, and you've got, of course, a lot of very expensive-looking Lamborghini badges. That's all right, don't worry about it. The wind blew the door shut. Show the Lamborghini badge. Yeah, and then, of course, you got this hexagonal pattern, which has been part of the design language that Lamborghini has used for a long time. So let's go in the front seat. Hop in with me. My man is doing a very exceptional job. Come on in. Come on out of the. Oh, you want to stay there? Come out of the wind. So in here, He's holding the door. You're the best. Now in here, they have also redesigned the interior. And if you're a fan of the Volkswagen Group, this will all look familiar. In fact, this 3-screen layout is very similar to the Audis. And a lot of the switchgear, like the window switches, they also feel Audi-like. But what Lamborghini, of course, is especially known for is the fact that everything you touch is very expensive. So there's no place you can rest your hand that doesn't feel like it's either leather or carbon fiber. And of course, kind of the spaceship design or jet fighter design, whatever your preferred design language is of course incorporated into this newest Urus. So there's a sense of drama and a sense of flair, and there should be with almost 800 horsepower. So come on in. So let's start it up, and of course to start it up, you have a very bomber-like motif here. So hit the start button, and because this is a plug-in hybrid, there's no engine note. It's extremely quiet. And like I said, you can get between 20 and 30 miles of all-electric range. Even the Lamborghini says a lot of their customers won't be using the plug-in feature because there are all these modes in here. So if you look over here on this side, you've got Strada, which is street, Sport, of course, Sport, Corsa, that is track, Sabina is gravel, or maybe this, no, Sabina is sand, sorry, Terra is gravel, and Niva is snow. Now, I did get a chance to take this on the track, as well as the part that I really enjoyed, which is in the dirt. So let's cut to me driving this first on the track. And what Lamborghini says makes this newest Urus unique is that they've allowed it to send a lot more power to the rear wheels with an active rear diff. So you can send up to 80% of the power to the rear wheels, and when you hit this button, which is of course the button that lets you turn off the traction control, you can drift this car. So let's watch my real lame attempt at drifting it on the track. Lamborghini was kind enough to set up the drift course for us because the new Urus allows you to put as much as 80% of the power to the rear wheels, which means that it is very driftable. Now, the car is very driftable. Whether I can manage a drift, that's a different story, but I will give it my best shot. I have a kind co-driver here.
Hi, nice to meet you.
He's going to help me get the car sideways, and then you all can see just how poor I drive and just how good the car is. All right, are we good to go? So you tell me when to put the power on, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
Turn in and power now. Control. Power now. Easy to spam.
Now that was fun. not see, like I said, not what you want to do, but certainly very fun car. And for an all-wheel drive car to be able to do a spin like that is not so easy. All right, should we try it again? So like I said, this is not my thing, but I appreciate you putting up with me. Thank you very much. All right, so come around. Okay.
Turn and gas. Control. Gas. Keep the gas. Keep gas.
Ooh.
Control. And straight on.
All right. Well, that was but
another 2 chances.
Let me try again. The car is very controllable. It feels extremely lively. And one of the reasons for that is because the new car has an electronic differential. So unlike the previous model, which had a mechanical differential, the car can now send, like I said, up to 80% of the power to the rear wheels, which allows you to be a very bad driver like me. All right, let's try it again.
Control.
Okay.
Okay, go. And to the next door.
Too much.
I feel that it's clack, clack.
Yeah.
No, we don't need it.
Just be very gentle with it.
Yeah.
All right, one more time. This is a little bit easier here.
Yeah. Keep stay. Keep stay. Wow. Wonderful.
All right, well, that time I managed to kind of make it around with the tire spinning. So there you have it, guys. A very amateur driver trying to drift the new Urus SE. And I'm not sure if any of you will do that out there. because obviously we're burning through a lot of very expensive tires, but the car, especially in the hands of my co-driver here, is very capable of doing it, even if I can't do it. So, you know, the best thing you can say about my driving is the car is orange. So that was embarrassing, but I did learn that as much as this car is tossable, at the end of the day, you know, it's not a supercar. Well, maybe it's a super SUV, but it is rather tall, and it is about 150 kilos or about 300 pounds heavier than the outgoing model, and that's of course because of the battery. And you can feel that weight when you're tossing it around. You also have air suspension, and you also have all-wheel steering, which makes for a much sharper ride. But when you're on the track, there's no escaping the fact that even though there's a lot of algorithmic magic happening in here, it's still a very heavy and very tall car to toss around. Or maybe the reason I was having such a bad time with it is because I'm just a bad driver. But you can switch it to Terra, which is the more fun mode for me. And let's cut to that video of me zipping it around the dirt track where I felt much more comfortable. And of course, when you do that, it raises the suspension and it just gives you a lot more off-road ground clearance. And given the fact that I was driving this thing on 23s with Pirelli summer tires, it's still pretty amazing how much grip this vehicle provides. All right, so here I am in the Lamborghini Urus. We're kind of on an off-road, let's call it almost gravel, dirt, sand. It's very sandy. Would you say sandy?
It's sandy.
Yeah, sandy. At Nardo, and the great thing about this car, of course, is that it has air suspension, and so when you put it into off-road mode, or in this case gravel mode, you raise the suspension, you change the power distribution, so you can actually drift this car around these corners, and it's very controllable. Unlike the drift course, this car seems much more at home on this course. It just seems like it's better suited for this kind of dirt. It's really fun.
Good.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah. Well, I feel more confident in the dirt because I come from Colorado, so we have a lot of off-roading.
Really?
Yeah. So
nice.
yeah, it's good. So I could brake it like I'm on I have more grip. Very controllable actually.
Good.
Yeah, it must be really good with like knobby tires.
Like the tire with more.
Yeah, more grip. Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah, because these are pure street tires, so you look for grip. It's like an ice course, right? You're trying to find as much grip as possible, and the suspension is really compliant. It really feels good.
Yeah, because the copy and also we support the body, not go down so fast. So it's not so soft.
Left, and then you can go a little faster here. I feel like the car is heavy and it's tall, and I think that's good for this kind of driving.
Yeah.
Whereas when you put it on the skid pad, you'd want it to be something that's a little bit more tossable. You know, not that this isn't tossable, but here it feels more natural.
Yeah.
Now I was speaking with one of their test car drivers, Mario, right? Mario?
Yeah, Mario is my colleague.
Yeah, your colleague, and he said that in the previous generation of Urus, you actually had off-road tires, but then nobody actually bought them. So this time there's no off-road tires.
No off-road.
And it's a shame because I think with off-road tires, this would be,
It's much better.
it'd be much better. Yeah. Is it a rock crawler? No. But you know, World Rally Championship? Hell yeah, this thing would be a lot of fun. You guys need to enter the World Rally Championship.
Yeah.
See, that wasn't so embarrassing. So we're back. Now, let's talk about what makes this special, and that is, of course, this. So let's go back to Strada, and then let's hit this. So that puts it in electric mode. Now, there are several other modes you can have when you're in electric mode. Let me go in Strada. There's a hybrid mode, which is a traditional mode. Then there's this battery mode, which allows you, I think, to recharge the battery. And I got to be honest, I don't remember what this mode is, but when you do that, the car becomes a pure electric car. And over here, if you want to show them, if you look, over here you have your battery level, state of charge, and on the other side you have your gasoline. And then this new design language is very similar to the Revuelto, which Lamborghini says and has kind of a brand identity. So if you're in an Urus or a Revuelto, then you know that it's a Lamborghini. But I figure you'll know that by the price. And by the way, we'll talk about the price. All right, so let's take it for a ride. So to put it in a gear, as any Lamborghini, you hit the paddle shifter. You'll see, let me show here, you'll see that a big E comes up. And if you're wondering what kind of fuel economy it gets, if you're buying this car for fuel economy, you're probably buying it for the wrong reason, but it has not yet been rated. I don't think, or at least Lamborghini says it has not yet been rated by the EPA. So I'm sure it's, well, I'm sure it's pretty low, depending on how you drive it. Now, the great thing for me about driving a plug-in hybrid, and as you guys know, we recently purchased one, but the great thing about having a plug-in hybrid is that you can just enjoy all of the benefits of electric drive without ever having to fill this car up. Figure from 0 to full on a level 2 charger, it's maybe between 3 or 4 hours, so you could fill this up at night, and like I'm doing with the recent i8 that we purchased, you can just drive this around town all day long on pure electricity, and if you don't exceed the battery's range, you'll never use gas, and I think that's wonderful. Of course, it is a Lamborghini, and the Lamborghini has to have a deep, throaty, guttural sound, and if you want that, then you go over here and you put it in sport. You didn't hear it, but I just heard it. The motor kicks in, and all of a sudden, it becomes a Lamborghini. And really, I love choice. So if you love being fuel efficient and economically minded and not scaring the people in these lovely coastal towns. Do you want to show them the town here? This is beautiful. We're kind of in the heel of Italy. This is such a gorgeous region, especially here by the sea. Of course, I don't want to go too fast because there is a lot of people usually walking through here, but it looks like we're getting a storm coming in, as you can tell. But yeah, you can kind of have your cake and eat it too. Let me turn around and we'll head back. Now this is a little fussy over here, so to go into reverse, you have to push this back. And then of course I can't see any cars coming. Luckily it does have cross traffic sensors, and today, thank you. And today, because the weather is so bad, there's not a lot of traffic to be worried about. And then to go into drive, of course, you gotta hit the paddle shifter. Now, I do love the air suspension ride on this. It really does significantly change when you put it in different modes. And as a Lamborghini, it is by far the most comfortable, the best riding. There's another one in that really cool color. That's kind of an interesting green, matte green color. And the great thing about Lamborghini's color palette is that they make all kinds of different vibrant colors. I've got the blue one, there's a bunch of orange ones running around, unlike most American cars or even German cars now that seem to have a different shade of gray. Lamborghini certainly lets you, I think they said there's over 100 colors that you can choose from if you want to get a bespoke vehicle. So incredible ride, tons of power. When you floor it, the electric motor fills in the gaps between the shifts in the 8-speed transmission. And so I would say, you know, if you're looking for a family hauler and you've got the budget, and I'll tell you how much this car costs at the end of this review, you'll really be impressed. Now, if you're wondering what's Lamborghini's vision for the future, I had a chance to speak with Stefan Winkelmann, the president and CEO of Lamborghini, and this is what they felt about their future and what their cars are going to be, whether they're going to be electric, hybrid, or gasoline. Stefan, is it okay if I call you Stefan?
Yes.
Thank you very much for taking the time to chat with me. I really appreciate it. So I kind of want to first ask you kind of the state of Lamborghini. And I know that you're here introducing a new car, Urus SE. And, you know, with Porsche several years ago, you could say that the Cayenne kind of saved the brand, but the Urus maybe supercharged the Lamborghini brand. Is that true? In other words, how important is Urus to Lamborghini?
But before we launched the Urus at the end of 17, beginning of 18, so the first generation, we had at that time the Huracan and the Aventador, so we were a super sports car company with only 2 cars. And we always said we need a third pillar also to have enough power to reinvest in the future for the smaller volumes like now today the Revuelto and very soon also the Temerario, no? The follow of the Huracan. And it was the best choice we could make because end of the 70s, beginning of the 80s, there was also the LM002, so the first SUV for Lamborghini. So it was credible to do a car like this. And it was really a good move because today we are in the best shape ever.
You know, it took you from making 1,000 cars to, what, you're going to make 10,000 cars this year, something like that, more than 10,000 cars. But when that change was happening, were you nervous? Were you worried about the fact that you're building, you know, a car that isn't a supercar, but is a family car in essence?
You know, the decision was not taken overnight. It was a long process. Mm-hmm. But it was the right one, and I was very relaxed because we also did studies on how they say this segment is going to develop. Because before we entered this type of market, there was nobody. You know, there was always ending with the premium SUVs, and we were the first one having a super sports car in the SUV segment. This was a challenge, but we took it in a way that there was no fear or doubt about the success story. And it took the brand. We were selling around 4,000 cars with the supercars. To last year, we had exceeded for the first time the 10,000 cars. A good mix for the future is that the 2 supercars are having 50% of the share and the Urus the other 50%.
Do you think that a plug-in hybrid is the right car for the right time?
We have a clear strategy, which is to hybridize all the lineup, which we call Direzione Cortauri. We started with the Revuelto, then the Urus SE, and then next and the last one of this trio is the Temerario. And this is the first step of our strategy in hybridization first, and then having also a full electric car. There's an easy promise you have to give to the customers. One is for sure the fact that you are going to have always an incredible design. And the other one is that you have to, yes, reduce the CO2 emissions, but on the same side, on the same hand, you also have to increase the performance. And if you maintain this, and we are maintaining this, then the success is sure, and we see it because the Revuelto is sold out until 27, and the Urus SE is already sold out until the end of 2025.
If you were looking into the future, let's say, 2035, will Lamborghini still be internal combustion, or will it be electric, or will it be both?
We have to have a car which is, let's say, in line with the requirements of the law in 2035. And if this is one way or the other, it's too early to decide now or to say now. We have to wait what the European Union is going to say about the year 2035, if there will be synthetic fuels part of the game, if there will be, let's say, a postponement or a dilution of the strict rule of 35, and then also what is going to happen in the US and in the big markets in the Asia-Pacific region. Because we have one car which is not regionalized, but it has to fulfill all the rules around the globe.
So I'm going to ask you this. I know it's a hard question, but out of the 3 cars that you build, what's your favorite child?
Always the last. Always the last. Because you're working on it, and so it's always the last one.
Okay, fair enough. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate you taking the time, and thank you guys for watching. does make this car unique is the way that they've programmed it so that it is almost seamless. It almost anticipates what you want to do, even though there are, you know, at least combined over 10 different drive modes. The car does have a lot of magic going underneath, and I got to talk with one of the lead engineers for this car to explain exactly what's happening underneath and what's making it so magic. It's an interesting change because from the outside, the car is very similar, right? The new version of it, the lights are a little bit changed, but for the most part, it's very evolutionary versus revolutionary.
Yeah.
But all the changes are on the inside.
Underneath, the car has a completely new drivetrain architecture. So first of all, for sure, we have now a plug-in hybrid car, a performance hybrid, still having the V8 twin turbo, so it's not a downsizing concept. On top, we have an electric motor. We have a battery on the back. And the major thing, and really a game changer, is that we changed the four-wheel drive system. We have now a so-called hang-on based four-wheel drive system that is allowing us to transfer much more torque to the rear and therefore also to be much more precise and have a better fun to drive behavior.
You can get up, what, 80% of the power to the rear wheels?
Yeah, I mean, and this is really the advantage of the system, because in the previous car we had the torsion-based mechanical four-wheel drive system, and in this system for sure you're not able to unlock the front axle. Means you have always a little bit torque on the front axle, and this is not helping you if you want to drift, if you want to shorten the corner. And on this car we worked a lot, but also a lot on the application, because for our philosophy it's always we want to have a natural behavior. We want to have for sure an exciting driving feeling, because this is always our ambition. Lamborghini has to be always best in class regarding excitement. So numbers is one, the emotions are the other thing. And therefore we worked a lot on the application. And the dynamical control system, it's really one of our core competences in the car.
So let's just talk some numbers. So just under 800 horsepower for American.
Yeah.
26 kilowatt hour battery.
Yeah, approximately, yeah.
How much? 25.9.
Yeah, I mean...
You're an engineer, I'll be precise.
Yeah.
How much electric range, all electric range?
I mean, at the moment we are still in the certification phase, so the values are not final, but we calculate 60 kilometers.
Fuel economy, do you have that number yet?
No, not yet, because we are still, let me say, especially regarding the US certification, we are still, let me say, work in progress.
There are a lot of advantages to a hybrid, right? You can fill in the torque gaps when you're shifting. You have an 8-speed transmission.
Yeah.
You can run it in all electric, or you can run it in hybrid, or you can have the gasoline engine charge the battery.
Exactly. I mean, from my point of view, it's important that you have a clear concept how you use which energy in which condition. There is a kind of mismatch between, I give you one example, performance consistency, something that is for us super important. Means it cannot be that you have an energy management in the car that after a performance-oriented drive, you have quite fast the battery empty, and then at the end of the day, you have only the disadvantage of the additional weight.
Yes.
And you suffer from the driving dynamics, you suffer from the performance figures, and at the end, it's not an advantage then anymore. Therefore, everything has to be done in a proper way that you manage the energy balance in the car in a way that you have a consistent performance. Because what you said, we did a lot here. We manage especially also the negative part of the torque and the transient behavior of the engine with electric motor. That is even not possible with the standard combustion concept.
Yeah, and I think it only gained, what, 150 kilos?
Exactly, yeah.
So
because we counterbalanced also. If you sum up the entire electric components, it would be even more. But for sure, we reduced weight in some components. I give you one example. On the rear differential, we had before a rear differential for active torque vectoring with additional gears. In this car, it's enough to have a limited slip, electronically controlled rear differential, and we save about 35 up to 40 kilograms only on the rear differential. Yes. And therefore, we tried as much as we could to compensate the additional weight.
What's the 0 to 100 time?
The 0 to 100 is at the moment 3.4.
3.4, so that's very fast.
Yeah. Since some years, one of our core competences internally is really the so-called dynamical algorithms that are deciding how the car is reacting based on your driver input. And this is a really sophisticated thing where you need the proper interpretation of your input, so means the steering, how fast, how much, the throttle, the braking, the current situation in which the car is. So the car has to recognize I'm on gravel, I have this lateral acceleration and so on. And then, and this is the magic behind, you need a prediction. What is the next behavior of the car? And then, based on this, you make already an adjustment of all the active systems. And it sounds super complicated. I know it's a little bit engineering nerdy, but I have to say, the biggest compliment that you can do to us is really to say, at the end, the car feels like the car does exactly what I want to do, because this is, theoretically, the driver should recognize nothing, all of this magic behind.
Well, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure, thanks. All right, guys, well, thank you for joining me for this really fun and interesting day I've had here in the heel of Italy, driving a Lamborghini Urus SE. And I have to say, at this point, you might be wondering, how much are you going to have to spend to get yourself into one of these? And the answer is at least $250,000, probably more like $275,000. But if you want the plug-in hybrid of Lamborghinis, I guess you could get a Revuelto, but if you want it to haul kids, this is probably the car to get. And you know what? Let's do one more thing. Let's get a little bit of the engine note so people can hear it. I'm going to put it in Corsa, and let me back it up. Let me put it in reverse, and then I'll have your friend do the accelerator pedal. Let me go ask him if he can do it for us. All right, you rolling? All right, here we go. Yeah. Just do it here. So I don't know if you can hear it with all the wind. Yeah, there you have it. Now, that backfire is a little bit not necessarily natural, but does it really matter? Hell no. So you can have your Lamborghini with a mighty twin-turbo V8, or if you just want to drive it in all-electric mode, you can have it as well in that way, so you don't scare the kiddos and neighbors. How cool is that? All right, now I'll see you guys next time. Ciao!